Our programs dive into the individual first. So we look at this self leadership and then we branch that out and say, I'm not even touching it. Boy, the laptop mic does not sound good. It seems like it's happening more and more. It wasn't happening earlier. Is that right?
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Rexhen, and today's guest is Hugh Blane, an elite performance coach, leadership transformation expert, and founder of Claris Consulting, where he helps leaders and executive teams convert untapped potential into extraordinary business outcomes. With a career rooted in operational excellence and human transformation, who partners with high-performing organizations to sharpen strategy, elevate execution, and unleash talent through powerful mindset and leadership breakthroughs. He's the author of 2 books. First one, 7 Principles of Transformational Leadership, Create a Mindset of Passion, Innovation, and Growth. Second one, Lead Boldly, How to Coach Others to Greatness. A sought-after advisor known for challenging leaders to think deeper, act bolder, and build cultures that thrive under pressure. And it's a pleasure for me to have him on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Hugh. Thank you for coming, Hugh. It's a pleasure for us to have you on. So I wanted to know
What
a little more
inspired me was
about your
failure.
beginnings. So when it comes to
There
you
was a
starting
failure
your
that
own
happened, first of all,
coaching
when I was
business and
6 years
becoming
old.
coach, what inspired you to do
And
so
my father had a
and do this
business
as
reversal.
business?
And I remember distinctly that at 6 years old, I was upstairs in my bedroom and I was playing. And I remember hearing my mother scream downstairs. And as a 6-year-old, I didn't know what that was. So I ran downstairs and I saw my mother in between the door jamb, pushing on either side. And there were 3 guys outside. And I went down and just said, I'm looking and going, so what's going on here? And it turned out that my father had made a business mistake, and the 3 men that were outside were there to repossess our furniture. And so as a 6-year-old, that kind of gets hardwired into your brain that whatever you have, whatever valuable, can be taken away from you at a moment's notice. So I didn't really understand that. It had penetrated into the 6-year-old part of me. But the older I got, I started pursuing all of these passions of mine that were about, if this is where I am and this is where I want to be, there's a delta, there's a division between where I was and where my parents wanted to be was financially secure, but they were financially insecure. And I started looking at how do you close gaps between where people are. And I first did that in the health and fitness business because my first job was for a hospital group. And we were buying 80,000 square foot former tennis facilities and turning them into wellness centers. And people would come in and they would have failed physically. They'd be out of shape, they'd be out of breath, they'd be overweight. And so I was always interested in saying, well, how do we get you into better shape? So I started navigating, this is where you are, this is where you want to be, let's put together a plan. So that became the first part where I started entering into the first passion, which was the physical part. I was just geeking out on that, learning as much as I could. Then what came about was I started to learn about the mindset piece, and it became more about mindset and self-image and self-worth than anything else. And then there was a gap, not only physically, but there was a one mentally, how we saw ourselves. And that was the starting point. And so my career and all the jobs that I had was always looking at, here's where you are, here's where you want to be. And I once said to somebody, the greatest predictor of success is well-managed failure. The greatest predictor of future failure is poorly managed success. So for me, I just dove into that area and said, how many people want to be failures? 0. How many people are? There's a whole world out there that needs to learn how to think differently, to believe differently, to change some old, outdated motion ideas. And that has been my life's work for 40 years. So the jumping off point was failure and how to avoid that and actually how to recover from that.
Oh, and when thinking about Claris Consulting, it's been about 16 years since that around, right?
To say the way that I'm doing it, this no longer works. And I'm willing to learn new and different ways to do that. Now, frankly, there's a lot of people who don't want to do that. There's a lot of people who intellectually say that I want to change, but change is one of the hardest things that we will ever do. It does not come easy. So the people that I have worked with that have achieved the greatest success, those are the ones that are humble and hungry to say, help me figure out how I reinvent that. And when someone is that vulnerable and that authentic in their desire, that they have a dream that they want to accomplish, that is the most rewarding part of this work. It's not necessarily about the coaching. It's about the life that the person is going to start living. And in my vocation and in my work, I'm in the corporate setting a lot. I don't do business to consumer. I do primarily business to business. And so I look at work as this fertile ground where people right now, they're worn out, they're burned out, they're
Lost.
overwhelmed. There's a high degree of anxiety in the world. There's
So you were just
fear,
saying
there's
they're
uncertainty.
burnout,
All of
and
those things
then
are present. So for me, it's the fertile ground. I go into that place and I bring the mindset training, I bring the skill set training, I bring the heart set piece into corporate America because I think it is in dire need of this work to create flourishing businesses and flourishing customer experiences. So for me, that's the most rewarding part.
when working with clients, do you see them fitting on a specific
Yeah.
ideal client
Yeah.
profile?
Level where you have 50 to 75 to 150 people just within your org minimum, right? And these are people who then say, I have these people that I'm responsible for, but I have these business results that I'm responsible for also. And so they are people who can then connect the technical side of their work with the people side of their work. And when they bring those two things together, that's the double helix. The double helix is skill set and mindset of the people and getting work done. Entrepreneurs, those are also the lifeblood of the American economy and probably the world economy. Small business owners that are trying to scale their business, but they don't have the human resources or the talent team that others do. So we bring our team in and we then say we can help build and scale you, the leader, the team, and the business. And by scaling you in the business and the team, you'll scale the value of the business so that when you go to transact, you'll have a higher net worth, you'll have a higher worth. So we do both of those. The CEO, but he wanted to leave a legacy.
Mm.
And he said, I don't want you to work with them as a group. I want you to work with them individually. So there were 11 senior executives on the team. I said, I want you to work with them individually. So yes, I've done the group and I still do groups because when it's appropriate, then we will do that. But it's not a one size fits all. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, that answers the question. And just for other coaches out there that are doing similar things, are working on executive coaching, how would you describe your team
I
structure?
don't know why that keeps on.
Is there a certain team structure that you found very valuable for you? Because you mentioned that you were talking in we, and there's a team that you're working with.
The we is our team. So that means when I go into an organization and I talk with
Yeah,
the executive,
now I can hear you. Somehow it just
I'm the
goes
one
off.
that's getting crystal clear about all of the issues that are at play. And so I look at it this way. Here's where you are currently. Here's where you want to be. And then here's the magical question. What are the obstacles that are getting in your way that you hope someone like me can help you overcome? So all of the obstacles, we help them come up with those obstacles, what they've tried. And from that, what I'm able to then discern who on the team needs to play a part in making that transition. So for example, we may have someone from our finance team, and in certain verticals, for example, in higher education, for one, we've got someone who is a finance expert specifically for institutions of higher learning. If it's in healthcare, we have someone who does that also. So we have a team of subject matter experts in operations, in finance, in sales that we can then bring together and say, this is what we will bring to the table so that you can get the best result in the shortest amount of time. That's the we.
I see. That's a very powerful we, too. It's a powerful team because even though they might not need to utilize everyone, it's just like it's there. It's there for you if you ever needed to utilize that knowledge and that person. So right now, for the leaders, CEOs, executives, founders listening, when looking at how it is like to work with you, the engagement, is there a certain program length, typical minimal program
Yeah.
length that you I can imagine that
One is we look at things
real
in
lasting
trilogies.
change
So, for example, if you're
potentially
going to
might
do
need some
organizational
minimal
change or
amount
you're
of
going to do
time to
culture
happen.
change,
How would
it
you
starts
describe
with
the
self or the
engagement
individual. So we dive
with the
into
executives and you?
our programs, dive into the individual first. So we look at this self leadership. And then we branch that out and say, I'm not even touching it. Boy, the laptop mic does not sound good. It seems like it's happening more and more. It wasn't happening earlier. Is that right?
It just goes on and off sometimes. Do you have any other mic? Maybe you can use your laptop mic instead.
Out
Okay,
also.
we can keep this. I'll just let you know
Yours did.
anytime it just breaks.
So let's do this. I'll talk in much shorter sentences.
That's
We'll create
correct.
a
It's just like
pause.
somehow
If you
now
can't hear me, you let me
every
know so that
2
I
to
don't
3
have to
minutes it
repeat
just
a
like
lot.
breaks and
So
then
why
it
don't
goes
you go
back
back
on.
and
It's
ask me
like
the question again?
it feels
Let's
like an
start over.
electricity issues. It just like goes on and off for a second. Now I can hear you. Yeah, it just went out now. Just did now. Now I can hear you. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Boy,
So what I want to know
here's how I'd
is
answer
when
it.
it comes to your
It all
engagement
depends on the
with these
motivation of the
executives, these
individual.
leaders, these founders that are also
Let's
listening,
say
how would you describe
you're
that
in a world of
engagement? Is there
pain
a certain program length?
and someone comes along
How
and says,
does
I can
that
alleviate
work?
that
Because I
pain.
can imagine that
The person who's
for
in
real
pain says,
lasting change,
how
there's going to
quickly can
be
you
some
get me
sort of a
into the
minimal amount
system
of
and
time for that
solve
to
this
happen.
problem?
So how would you describe the engagement?
Fair? If that's true, then my job is to say, how do we get you the maximum amount of results in the shortest amount of time? In the world of work today, speed is the number one currency. So, for example, disruption because of artificial intelligence. The rate of disruption in the world of work is 50 times greater than it was 5 years ago. That is a huge issue for people in business. But human beings are not equipped to deal with that level of disruption. So what we like to do is to chunk things down. And we have this process that basically says we're going to get crystal clear on one goal or one objective for every individual. And then what we're going to do is we're going to show you a process how you will then get better on that one individual, on that one thing over the course of 90 days. And that thing with the process we will show you is how to get 1% better every single day over the course of 90 days, which is 72 working days. That means you will be 100% better in that one area over the course of 90 days. When you have that level of success, what we can then do is say, now let's go to the next level. If that was all about you as an individual, how do we do the same thing with the team? And then we create projects that help create a team that's going to improve dramatically over 90 days. Now, we're not boiling the ocean here. Let's be really clear. It's one small component, but we try to say it's the first principle of growth. It's the first principle of change. Let's get really good at that one. But we also have an 87% renewal rate and referral rate from our clients. So for us, we stay engaged with clients for long periods of time, but we're not doing the same thing over and over again. We then do different things. Did I answer your question? Okay, let me be bold up front. Coaches don't know how to sell.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
And put a
I
period
also
there.
wanted
There's
to
not a
dive
comma there.
into something
Coaches
that
don't know
would
how
be
to sell.
more of an interest
And
for
I'm
the
going to
coaches
suggest
that
that
are listening.
90% of the people who
And
go into
that is
coaching
when it comes to your
want to do it
marketing
because
efforts
they have a
or like people
propensity
finding you
to
or
help.
you finding them.
They want to make a
What have you
difference.
seen working really well
But
in
one of
terms of marketing?
my newest client that came on board said that he was scared spitless of selling. So my job is to teach him how to get successful in doing that over 90 days. So I'm just going to be clear. If you're going into the coaching business and you don't know how to sell or you don't know how to market, life is going to be a long, slow slog through enemy territory on your belly with bullets flying over your head. Be crystal clear about that. You're not in the coaching business. You're actually in the marketing business. I have a benefit. I think from a business development perspective. I learned coaching, but I was a business guy first, right? So let me give you an example for all the coaches that are listening. I had a client who nobody wanted to work with. He was arrogant. He was opinionated. He had sharp elbows, and he wanted to tell everyone that they were wrong. COO calls me and says, you either work with him or I fire him. He tells that to this person, and then he introduces us. And for the next 9 minutes of us talking for the first time, every time I said something, he said, yes, but. Yes, but you don't understand. Yes, but you don't understand the context. Yes, but I'm over here. Yes, but, yes, but, yes, but. After 9 minutes, I went, okay, guess what? I can't help you. I'm out. because you're not ready to even acknowledge that some of the things that I said may be true. And the crazy part is you're going to get fired and you're going to tell me that I don't understand. Really? I think there's a problem here. So I'm out. And then he got very quiet. He said, "You're the second person that's told me that today." Well, who's the first person? I'm thinking it was his boss. No. Who was it? Brenda. Who is Brenda? My wife. Now I have his attention. Now he's emotionally engaged. And I gave him a thought experiment. I said, "Go home, apologize to Brenda, say you're going to not do it again, tell her you're going to get better, you're going to get a coach, whatever. And then call me on Monday after we've thought about this and we'll see." Goes home, does that, calls me Monday. And I said, "So how did it go?" He said, "My wife is incredibly upset with me." I said, "Why is that?" Because she wanted to know, why is it that I will listen to somebody other than listening to her? And then he said the most important words: "Will you help me?" So gone was the vibrato and in came humility, right? So we worked on his communication skills, self-image, whole bunch of things. 4 months later, he goes to the board, makes a presentation, right? And proposes a project that he had been working on for 2 years, and the board had said no numerous times. They finally agreed, they accepted it, and the chairman of the board said to him, "Is this what you've been talking to us about for 2 years?" "Yes." "Great. You should have told us this 2 years ago, because we've lost a lot of money." So here's what happened. That project saved $900,000 in operating expenses. Most coaches don't even think about the reduction in operating expenses. They think about inputs, not about the output. You know what that $900,000 meant to this company? They were getting ready to go out and refinance the company, and they were trading at a 20 times multiple. So that $900,000 increased the value of the enterprise by $18 million. So the way that my brain works financially, they paid me X amount. They paid me a fraction of that. And they made about 25 times more because of that. So that's what I think coaching is supposed to be. Focus on the outcome of the client, not of the input of the coach. And so from a
Okay,
marketing
you can repeat,
perspective,
they paid me, because
that's
it still
the
didn't get it
best
correctly.
marketing you will ever do, is to get stellar results for your clients. Check. All right. Yeah, but I haven't touched anything. Okay, let's just get this over. You are not in the, okay, I don't know what to do. Hold on.
So I heard until you said stellar results for your clients, and then it broke. And now it's working. I feel like maybe it's just like maybe some plug is not very strongly, because it just moved something and it just worked. Now it broke again.
All right.
Okay, so now we have the laptop audio, I guess.
Good Lord. I can't remember where we were. So just remember.
You were saying you're not in the, so
You're
we're
not.
talking.
Yeah. You're not in the coaching business. You're in the sales and marketing business. And the very best way to market yourself is to get stellar results for your customers and then share that with other people and to get referrals. Because if you create that kind of result, you're going to get referred. So frankly, I don't do anything on social. I don't do funnels. I build exquisite relationships with my clients, and I get 87% of my business from referrals or repeat business. So you can do a whole bunch of things and hide behind the social. Okay, that's great. I don't do that. I'm a relationship guy because this is a relationship business.
Mhm.
No ifs, ands, or buts. Get exceptionally good at building high quality relationships with a niche and a vertical that you know and that you can provide exquisite value to. That's where I would start.
Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing that. And also, when you get these results, I feel like coaches should not be shy to publicly, unless there is like a non-disclosure agreement, to share that you got these results. Would you be okay with that too? Yeah.
I'm going to be standing on top of the mountaintop. I would write it up. And then here's the thing. I have a conversation with every executive that we've gotten those results. And I asked them a really simple question. How did we do on a scale of 1 to 10? If they tell me a 10, I'm going to go, that's awesome. So let me ask you the second question. How referable is the business? How referable has this experience been for you? And they're going to say, it's a 10. At that moment, what I'm now going to do is to take them through a questioning process that says, who else do you know? Who do you care about that you want to make sure that they have the same kind of experience? And you do this right, you're going to get at least 3 people's names. And then you're going to get an introduction. And for me, I sell 90% of all the referrals I get. And they sell for a 50% premium over when I just go out and do something on my own.
That is a very good system, and making sure that you are also following up with the client that had that success, asking for it actively, because oftentimes they just don't have you at top of mind to give you the referral, but you're actively asking for it and having a system for it.
Yeah, and you can't be leg humping. You can't be salesy.
Mhm.
This is a relationship. And I would even tell somebody up front, hey, Bill, just to be crystal clear, your reputation and my reputation are on the line here. You're agreeing to engage with me, and I'm agreeing to try and help you. So I want to make sure you are supremely successful, that you are the hero, because if you ever make a decision to hire somebody and they don't perform, that looks badly for you. So I will not do anything. If I say yes, my commitment is that I will exceed the expectations. And because I was referred to you and because I met you that way, that's the way that we grow our business. And at some point, if the value is there, I'd love to have a conversation with you about who else you care about. So I'm telling them that up front. So this other conversation we have at the end, it's natural. They knew about it.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Hugh. So we're getting closer to the last 10 minutes, but I wanted to ask you still, um, when it comes to your coaching business right now, where is it going? Do you have any specific goal for the next 1 to 3 years? And also, what is a challenge for you in that goal?
Okay, so any coach who doesn't have a goal for 1 to 3 years should not be listened to, just to be really clear. So mine is, I'm going to actually go a little further out. I'm going to go 7 years out. So my goal over the next 7 years is to scale the business to a point where I can do an ESOP and sell the business to employees. That's the goal, because I've been around the sun enough times. It's more about the legacy for me. I adore what I do. I get up every single morning, I put my feet on the floor, and I'm saying I'm making a difference in someone's life. So how could you ever retire from that? What am I going to go do? Play golf? I've spent the last 40 years making a difference in people's lives, and I'm just going to somehow or another turn it off and say, I'm not going to do that anymore? No, forget it. I'm going to go as long as I possibly can. So the ownership will change to an ESOP. I don't know if it's necessarily a challenge, but when I look at 3 years, there's more systems that need to be put in place. Too much of it is reliant on me. I've got to elevate other people around me to do the same thing that I do effortlessly in the business development. I don't know if it's a challenge, it's an opportunity for me. I don't see challenges, I see opportunities.
So the final question, I feel like this will be very helpful, is for other coaches just like yourself, what advice would you give to other coaches who are trying to scale their impact?
3 things. If you want to scale your impact, you have to scale yourself. If you do not have a coach, then number one, I'm convinced you don't really want to be in coaching. If you don't have a coach, that's just. Second thing is stop talking inputs. Talk about business outcomes. If you come along and you're talking to a client and you're talking about inputs, you will end up charging between $175 and maybe $250, maybe a maximum of $350 per hour. I don't charge by the hour. I charge based on the return on investment or the value that's created. So if I'm creating $900,000 of operational expense reduction, my fee is 10% of that. So you can charge $250 an hour. You can do the same number of hours and you'll make $6,000 and I'm going to make 90. So you have to learn how to stop thinking about inputs, think about outputs, and think about outputs as business value. And I think the other thing I would say is build a niche. Find a group of people that you adore, that you love more than anything, and that you want to serve them and you want to raise them up and you want to help them. And make sure that those people can pay for you, that they have a pain, they have a problem that only you can solve. And so that's the marketing piece. Own a particular niche and do it better than anyone else. And if you can't do it better than anyone else, then surround yourself with subject matter experts that can speak into you and tell you how to get better or how to sell that. Get a niche, get a team, be part. Don't try and do it solo shingle. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hugh. And thank you so much for coming to the podcast today. For anyone who wants to connect with you or reach out to you, number one, they can go into LinkedIn, Hugh Blane. They'll be able to find you there. They can also go into the website, clarisconsulting.net. They'll be able to find you there as well. Is there any other way they could reach out to you if they needed to?
Those are the two best ways.
Thank you so much, Hugh.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate our conversation. I'm going to send you that research paper if you're interested in checking it out. We send it to every guest that comes into our show. And also, as a thank you for your time and effort, I also wanted to, and this is a bonus that we don't just give to everybody, is 45-minute, if you wanted to take it, coaching free call with our founder, Davis, if you ever wanted to discuss either systems about thinking of even selling, because we've worked with many coaches that have gone through that route. And yeah, if you wanted to have that discussion, you just have Davis as part of your network too. You can do that. I'd be happy to put you on speaking with Davis. So let me know if that would be interesting. It's totally optional.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Cool. I'll send it to you on email. And thank you so much, Hugh. You have a great rest of your day.
You do the same. Take care.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.